silence your cell phones for the duration of the meeting, and I apologize for the cold. It is chilly in here. And I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Representative Watkins. Representative Bowling. Representative Bray. Representative Petrie. Representative Flannery. Representative Hale.
Here.
Representative Hart.
Here.
Representative Freeland presiding.
Thank you. And this is the first meeting of the House Budget Review Subcommittee on General Government. And our first presenter today is Amy Burke, the chief with the Department of Child Support Services. And we'll go ahead and let her get comfortable. She is here to talk about the federal incentive funding for child support services. I'll let you go ahead and get started.
Great. Thank you, Chairman Freeland and members of the committee. Everybody here okay? Thank you for the opportunity to update you on the budget priorities of the Department of Child Support Services. We're grateful for your partnership and the partnership of the General Assembly as we carry out what Attorney General Coleman reminds me often is a no-fail mission. DCSS is responsible for operating a complex statewide program with one very important purpose: delivering reliable child support services to families and children who depend upon it. The transition of the child support program to the Office of the Attorney General was successful. However, we continue to face serious structural problems and challenges that threaten the long-term fiscal health of the program. As part of the transition from the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, we identified budget shortfalls totaling more than $13 million. First, there was a lack of sustainable budget planning. So historically, the child support program routinely exhausted its budget by the end of the third fiscal quarter. The result was that there was never a fully balanced child support budget year after year. As a result, more than $4 million in unpaid obligations were routinely transferred to $4 million in unpaid obligations were transferred to the Office of Attorney General as part of the transition. Second, and more concerning, federal incentive funds were misapplied. Over the biennium, approximately $14 million in federal child support incentive funds were used to supplant rather than supplement core child support operations, including contract costs for the 111 county attorney offices that deliver child support services across the Commonwealth. Federal law expressly prohibits the use of incentive funding to pay for core child support functions, such as those enumerated in Kentucky Revised Statutes 15.802. Instead, these funds are intended to supplement program operations by supporting innovation in technology, performance improvements, and program enhancements above what we're required to supply as a baseline of service delivery. Despite awareness of the federal incentive dollars being used to backfill essential operating costs and the knowledge that those funds would not be available to support ongoing contractual obligations, in the last biennium, no corrective budget request was submitted to address the structural funding gap, so it was inherited. The Office of the Attorney General has accepted responsibility for not only delivering high-quality child support services, but also for confronting this inherited budget challenge directly. In other words, we are not deferring these problems to the future. We want to handle them now. DCSS has taken immediate steps to tighten its budget, to identify efficiencies, and implement cost-saving measures whenever possible. However, efficiencies alone cannot resolve a structurally underfunded program. To ensure stability, compliance, and uninterrupted service, the program must be properly right-sized. The Attorney General's biennial budget request reflects these priorities and directly addresses the structural issues we inherited. This request represents an important step towards correcting past practices, restoring financial or fiscal integrity, and ensuring the long-term sustainability of Kentucky's child support program. We appreciate this committee's consideration of our request, and we respectfully ask for your continued partnership in supporting Kentucky's children and families. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding our budget requests.
All right. Do members have any questions? No, what is the request? I have not seen the actual request
I'm
yet.
sorry. I think overall, I can let Stacy Woodrum speak to that directly.
Okay.
So again, the fiscal incentive funds that were used for the contract.
Is your, make sure.
Sorry
mic is
about
correct.
that.
Yeah.
The fiscal incentive funds that were used for the contract offset, we are asking for those to be given to us in general funds or whatever means that those can be given to us. The great thing about this is that since they are core services, they do qualify for the federal dollars to which the state funds would be matched at 34%. So roughly 42,000 for the federal, and then 24 for the state. So not as bad as the 7 million, since we do apply the federal offset.
Representative Hale?
So how much did you say the shortfall was?
When we took over in July 1st of 2025, the shortfall would have been over 13 million. Because if you think about it, they were taking 7 million pure federal dollars each year. So over the biennium, that was a $14 million hole that has to be filled, because we can no longer take those purely federal incentive funds and apply them to our base operations. So we're asking to apply the 34-66% split to make up that hole moving forward.
Just to follow up, would that make up that shortfall?
It would make up that shortfall created by the misuse of the incentive funding. There were other shortfalls because instead of balancing the budget at the end of each fiscal year, they were sort of kicking funds over and using funds intended for the next quarter. So we're also asking for some funds to catch that up so that we can balance a budget and close out books on June 30th of each fiscal year and zero it out and start fresh instead of sort of using new funds to backfill old responsibilities.
There had been between a $4 and $5 million carry forward from fiscal year to fiscal year. So if we could receive funds from one fiscal year as well, that would shore up the budget on that.
So if I could just, one more, if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair. So when you say misuse of incentive funding, what does that mean?
It means that the federal government basically says that when we give you these incentive funds, they are used to supplement your program, not supplant your baseline operations. That's what your budget is for, provided by the state budget and the federal 66% match. So these incentive funds are not to be used to sort of operate the everyday things that you have to do: establish paternity, enforce child support orders, your core duties, and those are outlined for us here in Kentucky in 15802. In other words, this incentive money is performance-based, it's not guaranteed, so it's to come into play to help you modernize technology, put new enhancements, maybe work on some fun programs or things that you maybe don't have to rely on that baseline budget for each year. So federally, when they hand down incentive money, they say these are not to be used to supplant, or in other words, used towards your core funding. So the feds issued a letter to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, I think beginning back in 2022, 2023, that said, we have found you are misusing these, stop.
Okay.
And that knowledge was known when the 2024-2026 biennial budget was put forward by CHFS. They knew that, and they actually on the front of that biennial budget request put that they knew there would be a $14 million shortfall, but they didn't ask for any additional budget to cover that. So we kind of got that.
Ms. Burke said those funds go into the core services contract with our county attorneys to provide child support services throughout the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Representative Watkins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for the information. Just a couple of technical questions, if I may, just so I get a good understanding of the federal incentive funds. Given the, I guess to use your words, misuse of those funds, are we at risk of not receiving those funds?
The good news is no.
Okay.
So what the federal government told CHFS back, in 22, 23, 24 was, we're not going to make you repay them, but they're not to be used for this purpose any further. So I think it would be safe to say that they're watching us, but they did not choose to make us repay. They could. That was an option open to the federal government.
And a follow-up, if I may. The funding that you're asking for, that's to fill this gap,
Yes.
that would come from appropriation from the General Assembly, assuming that that would be a general fund allocation, would those funds then be unrestricted in your use?
I'm not
I
sure
mean,
I
we-
understand the question.
We would use those in the
In the same manner?
In the same manner.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Typically, federal funds are restricted per use, and
Right.
a general fund application or appropriation can be unrestricted, which means you could use it for various things.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, if they were line item, we would, obviously, that's
Sure.
our intent to use it as a contract offset from the
Right.
incentive dollars we can't use.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That gives me an understanding of the operational use and how you would do so if it was funded.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm thankful this is being run correctly now. Thank you. All right, and anything else?
No, sir, I have nothing further. Just
All
thank
right.
you for giving me the time.
Yes, thank you. All right, Commissioner Rich Ferretti with the Department of Criminal Investigations is here, and he's here to talk about the Special Victims Unit and Digital Forensics Lab, and that's going to be in Western Kentucky, if I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
mistaken.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Chairman Freeland and members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Rich Ferretti, and I serve as Commissioner of the Department of Criminal Investigations within the Kentucky Office of the Attorney General. Prior to joining the Attorney General's office, I served for over 30 years in federal law enforcement with the United States Secret Service, where my final assignment was as Special Agent in charge of our Louisville field office. In my current role as Commissioner of DCI, I oversee our statewide investigative agency, which conducts complex criminal investigations involving gun violence crimes, special victim unit cases, public corruption investigations, election fraud investigations, and other technology-driven crimes. DCI also operates the Body Armor Grant Program. DCI's Special Victims Unit investigates some of the most serious and sensitive crimes in the Commonwealth, including child sexual exploitation, sexual assaults, human trafficking, and technology-facilitated abuse. These investigations are trauma-informed, highly complex, and increasingly digital. Nearly every SVU case now involves mobile devices, cloud-based evidence, social media platforms, or encrypted devices. These realities require specialized investigators, forensic support, and close coordination with our prosecutors. Today's request supports the addition of one SVU investigator and one digital forensic examiner dedicated to SVU investigations. These positions will reduce caseloads, improve response times, and accelerate charging decisions. SVU investigators and forensic examiners require years of training. Last year, for example, DCI lost an experienced investigator who was also a mobile device examiner and forensic examiner to a federal agency offering higher pay. These losses demonstrate how fragile specialized capacity can be without sustainable staffing and workload management. Our Western Kentucky Digital Forensics Laboratory, we're seeking funding for that to establish that lab in Mayfield, Kentucky. A digital forensics laboratory conducts the secure extraction, analysis, and preservation of digital evidence, including encrypted devices, mobile devices, computers, and cloud-based data. Digital forensic examiners perform complex mobile device downloads and forensic examinations, uncovering critical evidence and routinely testify in court proceedings regarding the evidence they identify. Western Kentucky currently has very limited forensic resources, requiring investigators to sometimes transport digital evidence several hours away to Louisville to a regional computer forensic lab, and other district laboratories in Frankfort or Richmond. This often delays investigations and increases costs. The Western Kentucky Digital Forensics Lab will be located in Mayfield, Kentucky, within the Mayfield Police Department's new facility. The Mayfield Police Department is constructing its own modern facility, and DCI's co-location within that space represents a cost-effective way to establish regional forensic capability without duplicating infrastructure. 2 officers from the Mayfield Police Department are present today, Detective Mark Watkins and Detective Nathan Young. That reflects Mayfield's partnership and support of our initiative. The lab will be fully networked with DCI's existing Frankfurt Digital Forensics Lab, operating as one integrated statewide unit. As a concrete example of the expertise within DCI's digital forensic program, DCI Digital Forensic Examiner Christy Treadway was recognized last week by the United States Secret Service as a top national performer in digital forensic examinations. This national level recognition reflects the high degree of skill required to defeat encryption and conduct advanced mobile device examinations. Let me talk about justification. Year one funding for the lab establishes staffing, infrastructure, equipment, and a dedicated vehicle to ensure secure evidence handling and immediate operational readiness. Year two funding sustains operations. This lab will reduce travel time, accelerate forensic processing, lower reliance on external agencies, and provide equitable access to forensic services for rural and underserved communities in Western Kentucky. Together, the SVU expansion and Western Kentucky Digital Forensic Lab represent a coordinated, measured investment in public safety. These initiatives reduce evidence backlogs, shorten investigative timelines, strengthen prosecutions, and improve outcomes for victims statewide. These investments are designed to preserve institutional expertise, reduce long-term costs, and ensure Kentucky law enforcement remains capable of responding to modern technology-driven crime. Technology-driven crime is not slowing down. This request positions Kentucky to protect its most vulnerable citizens, support local law enforcement, and deliver justice effectively and efficiently. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm open to any questions you have.
All right, any members have questions? I'm thankful to see our guys from home here. So, yeah, thank you. No, this is exciting, and looking forward to this. So,
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate the presentation. So, not seeing any questions, so that's good.
Yay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Our next presenter is from the Office of Homeland Security, and it's Josh Keats, the Executive Director, Chris Allen, Deputy Executive Director, and Shelley Clark with 911, the Service Board Administrator, and James Driver, the Staff Assistant. I'm not sure if all of them are here, but we'll go ahead and let you. Oh, okay. We'll go ahead and let you get comfortable. And here to talk about the Next Generation 911 program.
Mr. Chairman, we're ready.
Okay, you go right ahead.
All right, Chairman, members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Josh Keats, and I serve as the Executive Director for the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security. With me is the leadership team responsible for delivering and governing Kentucky's emergency communications enterprise. Chris Allen is our Deputy Director for the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security and currently the Director for our Kentucky Intelligence Fusion Center, so 2 hats for him. Our Finance and Administrative Officer, James Driver, is here with us today. And most importantly, Shelley Clark, our Kentucky 911 Services Board Administrator, is here to provide the details of our Next Generation 911 project. Together, we oversee the policy, security, funding, and operational performance of 911 across the Commonwealth. Kentucky's current 911 system was designed for a time of landlines and fixed addresses. Today, over 90% of 911 calls originate from mobile devices, often without precise location data, and increasingly through text and video, which we are unable to support at this time. Next Generation 911 closes that gap. It routes calls based on precise, real-time location, so calls reach the correct center immediately, eliminating delays and transfers when seconds matter. Next Generation also enables text, photos, and video to 911, giving dispatchers real-time situational awareness, improving responder safety, and speeding suspect identification before responders even arrive. This is not a simple software upgrade, it's a foundational statewide public safety infrastructure modernization. Next, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn the floor over to Shelley Clark, our 911 Services Board Administrator, to walk you through our Next Generation 911 update.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. So our funding model for the 911 Services Board is we collect 70 cents on postpaid and Lifeline wireless subscribers. We collect 93 cents from each prepaid transaction point of sale. And in 2015, we were collecting about $26 million. Fiscal year 2025, we collected over $40 million. The increase is the difference between the.
I'm sorry,
low
is your
line-
mic on? Is it green?
Yeah, we are now.
Okay.
Apologize.
Thank you.
Yes. Do I need to start over, sir?
If you don't care.
Absolutely. Our funding model for the 911 Services Board is 70 cents per postpaid and lifeline phone, wireless subscriber. Our prepaid subscribers pay 93 cents point of sale. For fiscal year 2015, we collected about $26 million. And for fiscal year 2025, we've increased that to about $40 million. That increase is obviously the decrease in landlines and subsequent increase in the wireless customers. We do return 95% of this money to our local 911 centers. The other 5%, 2.5%, goes to fund our board expenses, and 2.5% is being deposited into our next gen 911 tech fund. We started this project in 2020. We created a roadmap with the steps and directions we needed to go. With the assistance of a federal grant in fiscal year 2023, we distributed over 700 monitors and workstations to our 911 centers at no additional cost for them. This was for mapping. Fiscal year 2025, we had completed our Next Gen 911 mapping program. We issued the RFP. We selected a vendor, Comtech Alarium, and we kicked off the project in March of 2025. In fiscal year 2026, we have started migrating to the Next Gen 911 platform. We did have a couple of challenges going into the migration process. The first was a new FCC ruling that required that we have local places for phone companies to connect to our Next Gen 911 system. We established 2 locations, one in Florence and one in Louisville. There was an initial cost to that of $168,000, and there is monthly maintenance going forward on that. That took about a delay of 1 month to establish the locations and find appropriate places. The second challenge was we found there was hardware upgrades needed for our host sites. The 911 centers in the state use a host. There's several different hosts within the state to route the 911 calls to the appropriate location. We connect through those hosts. The additional hardware that was needed for the first host to start connecting was $81,000, and there is no additional expenses needed for that. We did have about a 2-month delay in procurement and production of that hardware, though. I did compile a chart showing the normal monthly expenses that were incurred in fiscal year 2025 and anticipated expenses finishing out 2026 going forward. This chart is in your packet for your review. This map shows the current migration status in the state. We have currently migrated 3 911 centers for a total of 6 counties. Those are the dark blue. The striped blue are the remainder of that host's counties that will be implemented prior to August of 2026, or April of 2026. Apologize. The next group of host PSAPs, or 911 centers, will be implemented in May through July of 2026. Those are the dark green, primarily in northern and eastern Kentucky. The next group of hosted centers will be the light green from August to November of 2026. They're pretty widespread throughout the state. We then move to the yellow in April of 2027. That was upon the request of that host site that they be delayed a little bit for upgrades of equipment. We move on to the pink. That is implemented in May through July, again fairly widespread throughout the state. You do see some of the counties that have no color. Those are standalone 911 centers. In other words, they do not participate with a host. Those will be implemented throughout this entire process, and the entire process is anticipated complete by July of 2027. In order to upgrade our mapping, we used a product called Rapid Deploy Radius Mapping. That allowed the 911 centers to not only find more detailed location information and update it into the NG 911 platform, but it also allowed them to have access to that information statewide. So we now have a statewide mapping solution. The second part of the Rapid Deploy system that we are piloting is the Lightning app. That takes the information from the 911 center, sends it to the first responder via their own personal wireless cell phone. That gives them the call information, call updates, and the mapping that the 911 center sees. So if they are having trouble finding the location, the app will show them more accurately where it is. There is a third part we have not completed yet. That is the Rave link. That allows the 911 center, can you go ahead and advance, please, to communicate to another 911 center in the state without a phone call distracting the dispatcher that's taking the 911 emergency. So if you have a first responder safety issue, if you have a call that transports over county lines, you can actually click one button, send that information to that other 911 center, and your call taker is still active with that caller on the line. So they're not distracted having to put them on hold. Would like to take the time to thank you, and I'm turning it back over to Director Keats for closing statements.
Chairman and members, before we conclude, I want to connect Next Generation 911 to one of ours and the governor's highest Homeland Security priorities, the creation of the Cybersecurity Task Force within the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security. Next Generation 911 is critical digital infrastructure. It runs on internet protocols, networks, telecom carrier backbones, data centers, and cloud environments across all 120 counties. It exists in the same threat environment as power grids, hospitals, and financial systems. On Christmas Day 2020, the bombing of the AT&T facility in Nashville disrupted major telecommunication hubs across the region. Here in Kentucky, nearly 1/3 of our 911 centers lost service. That event showed that 911 access is a Homeland Security issue. Next Generation 911 is designed to prevent that from happening again. It will continuously monitor the health of the network, automatically detect outages, and reroute calls in real time to the nearest available call taker, even across county lines, so that no call ever goes unanswered. The Governor's Cybersecurity Task Force will give Kentucky the ability to monitor threats to 911 and telecom networks, share real-time cyber threat intelligence, detect intrusions and outages, and coordinate rapid response when systems are attacked or disrupted. Next Generation 911 will also provide Kentucky Intelligence Fusion Center with a real-time, statewide, common operating picture of 911 activity, allowing immediate detection of large-scale, coordinated, or mass casualty incidents. Together, Next Generation 911 and the proposed Cybersecurity Task Force will bring together federal, state, local, and private sector critical infrastructure and public safety partners that will work together synergistically to modernize and defend Kentucky's emergency lifelines. Mr. Chairman, questions, please.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions? All right, Representative Watkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation and for your service. For the public service answer points, who owns the cost of maintenance? Is that local? Is it shared with the state?
Local.
It's all local?
It is local, yes.
Interesting.
We do supply some funding from the funds we collect, but that is based upon wireless use in the county as well as a distributed dollar amount equally across the state quarterly.
And just one more follow-up, if I may. For the localities, particularly the rural places that, let's just say, don't have the operating budget like Jefferson County, does that delay implementation because they have to?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
There is no delay. We are hoping in the future that the lines, the trunks that they are using to take those 911 calls, the fees will reduce based upon our NG 911 platform. So we're hoping to boost them a little.
Any other questions? And what about the old funding that was landlines? I see the funding is going up, which is good.
Yes, sir.
So,
Landline phones are collected at the local level.
okay,
The local entities, whether it's fiscal courts or cities, implement an ordinance that allows them to collect on that or utilities.
So
and
those
on the
funds still exist, obviously greatly diminishing and under local authority.
right. And on the state level, was there a $70 fee? Is that how that's funded?
$70 fee.
It's 70 cents per wireless subscriber.
70 cents, okay.
Yes, on the postpaid and Lifeline, and then 93 cents if you go in the store and buy minutes or a card or something like that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Is there any other questions? Not seeing any.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Mr. Chairman.
appreciate the
Thank you, Kim.
presentation. All right. Not seeing anything else on the agenda, so make a motion to adjourn. All right. That will do it for this meeting. Thank you.
Did all of you get the mouse pad and challenge coin? Excellent. Okay, good. Yeah, you'll notice that our vendor decided that the Ion Kentucky number.
Let's hope for a sandwich. James, I told you to bring sandwich.
Take care. Hi, Emma. Oh, nice to meet you. Good to see you. Thank you for all your help. Thank you.
The first one's.
Did great. Okay. Oh, great. Thank you. Fantastic. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for the reminder on the
Thank you, ma'am.
court report. I appreciate it because that wasn't on my radar until you sent the. I was like, oh, okay, we got you.
I'm not really the one to thank because one of our other analysts is responsible for like kind of collecting them.
Okay,
And he
okay.
like sent it out and I'm like, oh yeah. So don't thank me, I'll thank David.
Okay, well, good, good.